Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for March 26, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. And opening day, Thursday, it's going to be 70 degrees. Baseball is back. But I don't want to start off with that today. I want to start off with something you probably know what's coming, and that's okay. I'm all in. I am all in on this team. And to me, yesterday was just a glimpse of what could be. Told you something wasn't adding up. But, man, Paul George, Joel Embiid returned to the lineup yesterday. A 157-137 win over the Bulls. Yes, I know it was the Bulls, but they looked incredible. And that is what they're both capable of. And they did this without Tyrese Maxey. Joe had 35. Paul George had 28. VJ had 22. Then you throw Maxey in there. Woo-hoo. Nobody's going to want to play them in the playoffs. Yes, I know I'm 100% setting myself up. But hear me out. And I kind of like that as a name of a segment for future moving forward. But hear me out on this. Joe was interviewed after the game yesterday. Said his knees have not been an issue for a while. It was literally the oblique, and there's really nothing he can do about it. Just manage it and hope that it doesn't get worse. That is probably the least injury he's had in all this time. Paul George, older player, just missed 25 games. Not because of injury, because of a suspension. Now, I'm not condoning whatever he did. However, I mean, that might play into the Sixers' favor. Tyrese getting reevaluated. You start throwing. Justin Edwards is playing well. We've seen glimpses of Dembona playing well, being able to spell Joe. Quentin Grimes. I'm in. I know how this is going to come out, and as I'm even saying it, I realize that this is why I call the Sixers my crazy ex-girlfriend, because I feel like I've actually used these words before to friends and family saying, oh, this time's different. But I don't know. I feel like this is the last chance. I'm excited. They're half game out of the fifth or the sixth spot, one game back of the fifth. If they can get in that fifth spot, who knows? I think they can hang with the Cavs. I know I'm setting myself up. I know I am. And I know I should probably wait and see one more game. I know. And I also said I wasn't going to do this again, but here I am doing it again. But it's been probably at least 25 games or so since it was fun to watch a Sixers game. But what a win. I know it was the Bulls, but man, got 11, 12 games left. Get that little ramp up going. Sign me up. Sixers back in action Saturday against the Hornets. And I know, and at this point, I know everybody's going to point back to this day, this point. Yeah, he told you. That's all right. I'm ready to open my heart and get it broken again. Just saying. But it is opening day. Phillies, Rangers, Christopher Sanchez on the mound for the Phils, Nathan Eovaldi for the Rangers. Should be a good one. 4:15. Wind is blowing out to right, according to Bill Henley on Channel 10. So we could see some dingers from some of the big guys or big guns on the Phillies roster or in the lineup. I'm excited. Garrett Stubbs was designated for assignment. Not sure if anybody's going to pick him up or whether he'll be back in the Lehigh Valley. We'll see. And it's a shame. I like the guy. He just does not have the talent to kind of hang around and stick around. So opening day, 4:15 today. I'm excited. That leads us into our bold predictions. And I don't know how bold some of these are, but these are my predictions. It just sounds better if I say they're bold predictions. But these are my predictions for the season. I think Christopher Sanchez is going to be neck and neck with Paul Skeens for the Cy Young. He was last year. He had one bad start. And I don't know if they do this, but I really think they should. They should incorporate the fact that he was in a pennant race where Skeens was playing for a last place team in there. And I know they don't, but Christopher Sanchez's start, so he had one bad start, but he was in high pressure starts the entire time where Skeens was just going out there hoping to not give up more than a run or two, hoping that his team could score 2 runs. But that's bold prediction number 1. I think Justin Crawford is the real deal. Part of this is because I got to see him play last year in the Lehigh Valley, and he was by far the best player. So I know some of his numbers have come, or his numbers are good, and a lot of that has come against minor leaguers. I do think it's going to translate well. I do think he's going to get off to a slow start. That's why I kind of want the team to stick with him. But he's always, in his career, is known to be a guy that heats up later in the season. So I think he's going to be receiving Rookie of the Year considerations. I think Aaron Nola bounces back. I think he has a solid season. I don't think he's going to be an ace. I don't even know if he's going to be a number 2, but I think he's going to be a solid number 3 pitcher. And with where he is in his career, I think that's fine. I think he's going to build off the momentum from the World Baseball Classic. He seems to be healthy, so we'll go from there. Kyle Schwarber will not hit 50 home runs, but will get around 45, 48. Hard to hit 50 home runs, but I think he's going to have another solid season. Bomer will make an all-star game. Contract season. I think he's got a lot to prove. He's been consistently in trade rumors. I think he's going to come out and have a good year. Finally make the all-star team. I have a feeling they're not going to make a big trade deadline splash. I think they might add some small pieces here or there, but I don't think there's going to be a big bat or anything. They might add a middle reliever or something like that, or bench player, utility player, similar to what they did with Bader last year. But I don't think there's going to be a splashy trade deadline move because of how much they believe in the kids and the core and the future of this team. I think with the Mattingly Rob Thompson relationship, dynamic, however you want to word it, is going to be talked about all season. And I think I can't figure out negatively or positively. I have a feeling, knowing Phillies media, it's probably going to be a little bit of both. But I think if any time the Phillies go in a slump, or God forbid they get off to a slow start, people are going to be like, oh, well, Don Mattingly is going to be there. However, I could also see it being the other way, that Don Mattingly they already have a relationship from when Topper was with the Yankees. Maybe some of Don Mattingly running some of those ideas, we get kind of like a co-manager type situation. So one way or the other, we're going to be talking about Mattingly and Rob Thompson all season. Bryce Harper is not elite. However, still a pretty damn good player. I look for Bryce to have a bounce back season. I don't know if he's going to be elite status and in the MVP conversation. But as Dave Dombrowski said, I compare him a little bit to a Freddie Freeman, but I think Bryce still has a little bit more in the tank. I think he's coming in motivated. I think we're going to see a very good season from Bryce Harper. Maybe not elite, but to me, there's not a ton of elite players in Major League Baseball. Like, is Bryce on the same level as Ohtani and Aaron Judge? Probably not. But is he right there on that second tier? Yes. And I think you're going to see a lot out of him this season. So what does that mean for the team? I think they take a half a step back. And I'm not saying that they're going to go under 500, but I think a good baseline for this team is 84 to 89 wins, somewhere in that range, give or take. Could I see them getting to 90? Absolutely. Could I see them going 500? Injuries and some of the teams or pitchers struggling? Absolutely. But I think the sweet spot for them is right in that 84, 88, 89 win area. I think the NL East is going to be bounce back year for them, the Mets as well as the Braves. Could the Phillies win the division? Yeah, I think they can, but it's hard to win 3 straight divisions. Phillies have done it. I think that those 3 teams are going to battle each other, and that's why I have the Phillies win total down a little bit. I can see them very easily winning the division. I can see them not. If I had to pick right now, I'm going to go no. They're not going to win the division, but they will make the playoffs, and they will win a round. So could they go further than that? Listen, we've seen this team as the underdog. We've seen them kind of get hot and do what they need to do. Maybe not winning the division, not going in with a bye, not going in as the division winner will bode well for this team. Kind of the backs against the wall type deal. We saw they can compete with the Dodgers. It's hard to win 3 in a row, too, for the Dodgers. So could the Phillies make a run at the World Series? Absolutely. But there will be a red October. I just don't know if it's a division. But going in through the wild card might be the best thing just with the doctor ordered for this Phillies. All right, so what are your thoughts on my bold predictions? What are your bold predictions? Let's have some fun today. 267-495-8531. That's Back to the Future voice and text line. What are your bold predictions for the Phillies? And are you thinking I'm crazy? Obviously, I think there's going to be a lot of Sixers blowback on the Back to the Future voice and text line. But that's all right. Bring it on. All right. So this is the 13th opening day at Citizens Bank Park. Phillies have a 5-7 record. Today's trivia question: who's the most common opponent on opening day at Citizens Bank Park? So which team has the Phillies played the most at Citizens Bank Park on opening day? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531, or hit me up on the Discord, which is one of the links in the description. But who have the Phillies played the most on opening day in Citizens Bank Park history? And then, of course, the answer to yesterday's trivia question: what 10 Division I teams have the nickname the Wildcats? That would be Arizona, Abilene Christian, Bethune-Cookman, John Chaney's alma mater, Davidson, Kansas State, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Northwestern, Villanova, and Weber State. So thank you to everybody. Weber State was picked. Nobody got Abilene Christian, though. Nobody guessed them. Flyers back in action tonight to take on the Blackhawks. They're looking to keep their playoff hopes alive. Hopefully they bounce back. I know Rick Tocchet was not happy the other day after that game. He said they should have been up 3-0 in the first period and just kind of let it slip away. So we'll see. I'm all about both of our winter teams making the postseason. Flyers still 5 points out of that final wild card spot, but all you got to do is go on a little hot streak. They've won a few games in a row a couple times this season, so why not us? And like I said with the Flyers, all you need to do in the NHL is get in. All right, some Eagles news, and very quickly, Adam Schefter poured water on the thought process of, hey, Elijah Moore's here. Maybe, just maybe, that means A.J. Brown's coming back. He said, nope, not at all. But boo. I respect Adam Schefter. I think a lot of what he says is true, but boo, boo, boo. But there will be another new Brotherly Birds breakdown coming out tonight or first thing tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Kyle and I are recording. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, though. Tell me how crazy I am. I'm ready for it. This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. All right, March 26th. First, we're going to go back to 1988 and a little March Madness action. For only the second time ever, two Big Five teams were playing in the Elite Eight in the same tournament. First, we're going to go. The first game of the day was number 1 seed and number 1 team overall, Temple Owls, taking on the number 2 seed at Duke up in the Meadowlands. Duke had a game plan to slow down the Owls' offense. They played a man, which disrupted their flow. Temple still led at halftime, though, by 3, but Duke came out even stronger in the second half, winning at 63-53, holding the Owls to their lowest output of the season. Billy King, yes, future Sixers GM, Billy King played outstanding defense on Mark Macon, holding him to 20% shooting and just frustrating him all day. The Owls, though, as a team, nobody could really get it going. Shot 28.6%. And Chaney's best team made it to the Elite Eight, could not get to the Final Four. Probably was his best chance of all of the Elite Eight teams to get to the Final Four. I still am very partial to that 99-2000 team. But on this day, Temple loses the first game of the Elite Eight to Duke, 63-53. And then right after that game, down in Birmingham, it was the number 6 seed at Villanova Wildcats taking on the number 1 seed at Oklahoma Sooners. Villanova actually led by 7 at halftime and looked like they might have a shot to pull off the upset and get back to the Final Four. But then Stacey King took over, scoring 28 points. The Wildcats did keep it close, but the final 5 minutes, the Sooners just ran Villanova out of the gym, erupting for just Villanova was able to slow them down, but it was just I think Raleigh Massimino called them a ticking time bomb, and they were able to explode, beating the Wildcats 78-59. Couldn't have been the earliest the Temple and Villanova could have played would have been the final, so it would have been pretty cool to have an all Big Five Philly final. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, as both Temple and Villanova lose on this day in the Elite Eight. Kansas, led or coached by future Sixers coach Larry Brown, would win it all that year. And I did mention, just for those keeping score at home, there was the second time and only time that 2 Big Five teams were playing in the Elite Eight on the same day. The other time happened in 1971 when Penn actually took on Villanova. More on that 71 Villanova team here in a minute. Fast forward to 1991, Sixers lose to the Nets 98-95 in overtime up in New Jersey. Charles Barkley had 32 points, 17 rebounds, but that was not the story. The story was there was a Nets fan in the crowd who was heckling Charles Barkley, throwing out racial slurs, frustrating, getting under Barkley's skin. Barkley retaliated by attempting to spit on the guy, missed, and hit a little girl. He was suspended for a game. But there was a happy ending, if there could be one for this. He became very friendly with the little girl's family, gave them tickets to games all the time. But it also helped Charles wake up and realize that he was just way too intense, too focused on winning and not kind of including everybody and playing it the right way. He was just single track, one track minded. And then a couple years later, he had it's not really related, but whenever I think of Charles Barkley, the whole Nike commercial, I am not a role model. I don't get paid to be a role model. But on this day, the infamous Charles Barkley spitting incident happened in 1991. And then in 2002, in honor of opening day, the concrete was poured for the foundation of Citizens Bank Park on this day. Wouldn't be long before the stadium was complete. And then in 2016, the number 3 overall and 2 seed Villanova Wildcats took on the number 1 seed and number 1 team overall Kansas in Louisville in the Elite Eight. And this game lived up to the hype. I remember this game well. This was an awesome game. Chris Jenkins was in foul trouble, so sat out like 8 minutes in the second half. But Nova's defense forced 16 turnovers, 11 of them on steals. Ryan Archidiacono, still can't say his name, Archidiacono, hit 4 clutch free throws down the stretch to seal it. I even practiced that. I literally practiced that yesterday and even this morning, and still can't say it. Ryan, Archie did not go. Close enough. As the Wildcats win it 64-59 to go to the Final Four. Very balanced offensive attack that day for the Wildcats, but their defense was stellar. They held Kansas's leading scorer, Perry Ellis, to 4 points, and we all know how that would come out. Chris Jenkins might have been in foul trouble in this game, but he stepped up huge in the championship. All right, it is Thursday. Time for a little Throwback Thursday. We've been doing the March Madness theme. Throwback Thursday is brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. They have you covered with whatever Philly sports apparel needs you have. Best t-shirts in the area. So go check them out and be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off. All right, so I mentioned the 71 Wildcats earlier. And to me, that 1970-71 Villanova Wildcat team is the Big Five's forgotten Final Four team. They were coached by Jack Kraft. They started the season ranked number 8, compiled a 27-7 record. They were led by Howard Porter, Chris Ford, and Tom Inglesby, all who played in the NBA. Chris Ford actually had a cup of coffee as the Sixers head coach, interim head coach, but he was an assistant as well. On the way to the Final Four, they beat St. Joe's, Fordham, and Penn. And yes, kids, Fordham actually was good in basketball at some point. When I was growing up, or when I was in school, Fordham was a guaranteed win every time we played them. But I digress. They beat Western Kentucky in the Final Four to get to the final before losing to UCLA, who was 28-1 and coached by the legendary John Wooden, 68-62. So the Wildcats were in the game. Howard Porter, though, did win the Most Outstanding Player of the Tournament award in a losing effort. And only one of 10 people to ever do that in a losing effort. Unfortunately for the Wildcats, and this is why they are forgotten, they were stripped of their tournament wins. Porter was stripped of his Most Outstanding Player of the Tournament. That year, they were stripped of being in the Final Four. So, due on the official records, there's only 3 Final Four teams in 1971. And there actually might be less than that. There might have been something else that happened, but I'll check on that later. All because he signed, and it sounds absurd and ridiculous with the way today's college NIL and everything is, but he had signed a contract to play for the ABA's Pitt Condors. So essentially, he was finishing out his season at Villanova, but I guess because he was getting paid from Pittsburgh. Now, today, this would not even be a big deal. This would be like, oh, you only have one contract. But because of all that, Villanova was stripped of the Final Four. Howard Porter was stripped of the Most Outstanding Player of the Tournament award. And it essentially is like it never existed, which is why they're the forgotten Final Four team. But the 70-71 Villanova Wildcats did earn a right to go to the Final Four. They did make it all the way to the championship and went toe-to-toe with UCLA, who at the time was, they were kind of at the end of their dominance, but still was a damn good team for a lot of years. So the Villanova Wildcats in 70-71, today's Throwback Thursday topic, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. It's a travesty if you think about it. I mean, obviously it was against the rules. I'm not saying that it wasn't. But if you look at what goes on today, I mean, really signing a contract to play in the ABA after your college basketball season is over, and it's not like it interrupted his season. I mean, he was the most outstanding player in the tournament. They almost beat UCLA, but I guess the rules are the rules. All right, and then finally today, our Women's History Month Spotlight. Every journey begins somewhere. For these women, it started in the NBA, whether it was on the playground, the rec centers, high school gyms, college gyms, and it all led to the WNBA. Today we're taking a look at Cheryl Reeve, a Washington Township, New Jersey native. She helped her high school be, I think it was Washington Township. I'm not as familiar with South Jersey, but scratch that. Cut that. All right, and finally today, our Women's History Month Spotlight. Every journey starts somewhere. For these women, it started in Philly, on the playgrounds, rec centers, gyms, high school gyms, or college courts, and it all led to the WNBA. Today, we're going to take a look at Cheryl Reeve from Washington Township, New Jersey. She helped take her high school team to their first ever New Jersey State Finals. From there, she went to play at LaSalle. Now, Cheryl's trip to the WNBA took a different route than most of the players we've been talking about. A lot of them either went to the ABL, a lot of them went overseas, or a lot of them went directly to the WNBA. Some had to kind of do a combination of all. Cheryl's is way different than everybody else. She went right into assistant coaching at her alma mater at LaSalle, ended up at George Washington, took the head coaching job at Indiana State. From there, she jumped straight to the WNBA as an assistant coach, where she helped her teams win 2 championships, and then became the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx in 2010. And all she did was become a legend, a GOAT, one of the greatest to ever do it. 4-time champion, 4-time coach of the year. She was promoted to general manager and head coach in 2017. Excelled at that, 2-time executive of the year. She has the most playoff wins of any head coach in WNBA history. She has the most total combined wins of any coach in WNBA history. She is second in total regular season wins in WNBA history, but she's poised to pass Mike Thibault this year. She only needs 13 more. And then she also has a gold medal as an assistant coach to boot. So she's going to be the greatest coach in WNBA history if she's not already there. She's got a gold medal, 4-time champion. She's in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Got to meet her a couple of years ago. Awesome lady. So not every WNBA journey happens on the court. So from Washington Township to GOAT status, we celebrate the journey of Cheryl Reeve, the best coach in WNBA history, the greatest of all time, and soon to be winningest regular season and playoff. Like, if you combine them, she's the winningest. If you take playoffs, she's the winningest. Regular season, 13 games, might take Minnesota maybe a month to win 13 games. They should do it. They're always one of the better teams, thanks in part to general manager and head coach Cheryl Reeve. So, Cheryl, we celebrate your journey to the WNBA today for Women's History Month. All right, on this day, back in 2016, Villanova beats Kansas to go to the Final Four. 2002, the concrete for the foundation of Citizens Bank Park was poured. Charles Barkley's infamous spitting incident happened on this day in 1991. And then 1988 was not a good day in the Elite Eight for the Big Five, as both Temple and Villanova lose within hours of each other. Temple to Duke, Villanova to Oklahoma. Not meant to be. Not meant to be. But it's opening day. Let's go. Give me your bold Phillies predictions. How far do you see them going? Anything you got for the Phillies? Tell me how crazy I am for jumping back on the Sixers bandwagon. It's okay. I'll take it. But let me know what you're thinking. Anything Phillies sports. Do the Flyers have a shot to make the playoffs? It's 70 degrees. Sixers are good again. Phillies are back. And I'm feeling the flow. Doing the dance. Doing the bull dance. Working it. All right, I got to go. It's starting to get goofy now. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 26, 2026. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go Phils. Happy opening day. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.